Thank you for coming through.
No, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Now, briefly tell us about the book Zumanomics Revisited, which was launched, by the way, by the Deputy President a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, it was. I think that when I applied my mind to looking into the crystal ball for South Africa in the longer term, I think there were two or three of the factors that really compelled me to revisit the issue of Zumanomics, having written the original Zumanomics about 4 years ago, just before the last elections. So I think the two factors that really are important for all South Africans, and indeed for the foreigners who are interested in the future of this country and who are watching this program, that firstly, we do need to think more long-term in South Africa. We've got far too much short-termism, and that's caused a lot of difficulties. And that's one of the reasons why we've got the National Development Program, because that says to us we do need to look further ahead to 2030. It doesn't seem that one should be thinking so far ahead, but in fact, I think that 17 years is not a long time when you consider we are now celebrating having had our democracy for 20 years, and look how quickly it has gone. And the second is the issue of timing. There are a number of factors. I think at the ANC's Mangaung conference, some key decisions were taken, such as the acceptance of the National Development Plan, which was a very important decision, the re-election of President Zuma as the leader of the ANC. We are also seeing next year an important election, which is another watershed. So I think the combination of all this, if you add it to the fact that there are some red lights flashing about our economic performance, I think there's consensus that we need to do a lot better, that we really do need an economy in the next few years which is going to be stronger, bigger and better. We're not there yet, despite our achievements of the past 20 years. So we've got to build on our achievements and address the weaknesses so that we can do much better. Because, for example, to be growing at 2% this year, well, I mean, that's just simply not good enough. And I think it's agreed all around, as the Minister of Finance said in his mini-budget a couple of weeks ago, it's not good enough. We've got to do a lot better. And that's really the message of the book. How can we do better, and how can we collaborate? What are the conditions for success by 2030 if we do want to implement the National Development Plan?
Does the book offer solutions and answers to the questions that we pose?
Yes, I've tried not only to look back, but only to look back in the sense of, well, firstly, what have we achieved, but what are the lessons we can learn from our failures? Because some of those failures are still with us. That's, those are some of the red lights that we are facing about youth unemployment and about poverty. Our growth rate is not high enough. And so there are a number of these boxes that we need to tick. But then to say, right, what do we have to do to start to put this right? There's no magic wand, not in this book, not in the National Development Plan, but what do we need to do as a nation in order to be able to give a better life for all over the next 12 to 20 years? And you need to take a long view. If you look at those countries, and there's only a handful of them, that have been very successful at being able to grow over many years, then you find that you've got to approach your challenges with a degree of pragmatism. We really have to find each other, put all the ideologies on one side, and in fact the only ism shouldn't be capitalism, socialism, globalism, neoliberalism. It should be pragmatism. That's the ism that we should drive. In fact, it's quite interesting. That message came through from a Chinese political leader who was asked about their success over 2 or 3 decades as being able to transform the Chinese economy. And he was saying, well, we had to be pragmatic about it all. And he said, and he put it this way, he said, we didn't ask whether the cat was black or white. We asked whether it could catch the mice. And I think that philosophy is what we should incorporate here. Whether it's the government that has to do things, or the private sector, whether it's business or labor, we've got to work together, and we must find the pragmatic solutions. And let's try and put some of the divisiveness on one side. Let's unite behind the vision we want to see for South Africa by, say, 2030.
The title of the book, Zumanomics. Why that title, and why not Manual or Gordonomics?
Well, when the first, I think it was 2009, that the first book of Zumanomics came out, I think we chose, or I chose the title, because we expected that President Jacob Zuma would become the president, although the book was in fact published before the election. And it set out in a way what we thought were some of the things we should be doing and what might be some of the agendas that would help our growth and development to deal with growth, to deal with poverty and all the things that still have to be put right. Now, after 4 years, given the global crisis, and we haven't got through that unscathed, we need to take stock again for the very reasons that we discussed at the outset, number of converging factors. So I thought, well, it was probably a good time to revisit Zumanomics, but now to take it from the road, from Mangaung to 2030. And this is the urgent challenge we face. Bearing in mind, I think, if we go back, say, over the past 20 years, you can tick the number of times we've had this discussion before. So now we must stop just sort of ticking the boxes. Yes, we are worried about unemployment. Yes, we're worried about inequality. Yes, we're worried about poverty. We've got to now be action and solution driven. That's the message of the book. And I try to hint in the book that really we can, that it's not a question of diagnosis. It's a question now of mobilizing those remedies that are available to make a better life and to build confidence and hope in the future we all want for South Africa.
Available in bookstores right now?
Well, I'm hoping there are not too many left. It's going very well, but you can go to any reputable bookshop, and I'm sure you'll find one.
Professor Raymond Parsons, economist, as well as BUSA special advisor, and of course the author of the book, Zumanomics Revisited. Thank you so much for your time, Professor.
Thank you very much.
It's now time for us to take a break.